Well, now we're leveling out the inlays. This is where we get all the material flat and all the glue off and stuff. And I use a combination of tools for this. One of the things I use is a Dremel. Now you got to be very careful with that, because if this touches the wood, it can really mess up the wood fast. So, what I'll do here is I'll just use it lightly, high speed, but very little pressure. And I'll do that just on the glue, just to get the majority of the glue off, making sure I never touch the wood. If you're going to use a Dremel, you got to be careful with it. It's a very high speed tool. It can chew up your guitar real fast. The next thing I'll use are our medium cut files. And that I'll use to try to get all the material flat. This is really good for getting down that recon stone or that acrylic, which is much higher than the rest of the material. And I'll be, cautious with this. Obviously, you got to be cautious with anything that's going to cut into the materials of your guitar. You can see I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on though, but I'm using it very flat. Notice that? I'm using the file very flat. So I don't have to, if it does cut in, it's not going to cut into the wood. It's not going to cut into the wood very far. And then I use my favorite tool, my Porter cable rotary sander. The glue on this particular spot is already gone, and most of the leveling's already been done. A couple of high points here on the flames. So I need to, or the death ray. So I kind of need to sand that off a little bit. Just like that. Then I go back to my rotary sander, going flat. Now, even on flat, even when you're coming in flat, you want to make sure that the center of your rotary sander is over that shell, because you want to be working on the high spots, not working on your wood. And you will have to do a little on the wood when you get done to get rid of these file marks, but the rotary sander is real good at taking stuff off. Oh yeah, check that out. Let me see if I can get a little better light on it. That eye came out just spectacular. The Lexan worked out really great. An interesting fact, I just found out from my son who's into race car driving, that's the same stuff they use for race car windshields as the Lexan. Absolutely, just amazing, don't you think? And there are all the pieces cut for the back. You can see Robbie there on the right hand side. He's looking real good. And then of course we've got the flying saucer here in the middle. And a couple planets up there just to balance it out on the side. And now I have to take all the pieces and glue them in and level them out, as you've seen me do before. Also, like on the front, I'm going to have two pieces, the mouth here and the head, that are going to be under Lexan. So I still have a little bit to do, because I have to pull those pieces out and mount them to a support board, and then get them all the right height and everything else. So a little bit more to do before I can glue everything together, but I'm just about there, so it's looking good. Okay, this little piece here is the mouth. Now it's made up of purple agate, mother of pearl, and silver fantail. And what I wanted to do here, now what I had to do was put a piece of wood on the back so I could put these pieces together and get them level, because this will actually go into a deeper section of the inlay, and then the piece of Lexan is going to go over the top, so it's going to look like this is underneath glass, which basically it will be. And what I wanted to do here was, Robbie had like little lines when he would talk in his mouth, and so what I did was I took a etching tool. This is a very fine etching tool, And I took a piece of wood, which is the exact same shape as the wood I used to glue this on, and I very carefully used that as a guide to put in matching lines right here in the pearl. Now you probably can't see them. Put this black ink on the pearl, and that black ink will sink into those grooves that I just made with the etching tool. So if you're ever wondering what they mean when they say pearl etching, well, that's what I'm doing. Now, I really don't recommend, and I never do, put this on fretboards. The reason why is because if you touch it and handle it and run your fingers across it, it's going to come off. The ink is going to wear out. And we don't want that. We don't want that at all. So what I'm going to do here is, since this is going under a piece of glass and then a piece of, or a finish, I don't have to worry about anyone handling it. But on a fretboard, if you played it a lot, all that ink would just come right off. And I hate when I see inlay artists etching fretboards. It doesn't work, it doesn't last. It becomes a coffee table guitar, which means, like, you know, you stick it on your coffee table and never play it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let this ink dry just a little bit. It doesn't take very fine steel wool. And just buff off any of the remaining ink that might be on there. It doesn't take much. And now, if I come up close, I hope you can see that I've put etch marks in the mouth. Now, what I'm going to do here with that is, as you can see, this section right here, this is a little deeper. And I did that on purpose because what this is going to do is, as a whole, it's going to lay right inside that, just like that. And it's deep enough that I can put Lexan on top of it and it'll come up to the top of the inlay. And I'm doing the same thing here for the head. For those of you who are old enough to remember Robbie the Robot from the original Forbidden Planet movie, the top of his head was a dome. So we're going to do that in glass, and this will allow him to have a mouth, and he can, so he looks like he's talking, and as he's carrying away the damsel in distress. Start again. Just to prove nobody's perfect, I was just about done with leveling out Robbie. You can see, you know, most of it's pretty level, most glue's gone, when I ran into a problem. And it's a very small problem and a big problem all at the same time. There's 143 pieces in Robbie, and I only glued in 142. There's a little spot right here, which even at this close extreme you can probably barely see, that is like was a highlight on her hair, a little mother of pearl piece. Let's see if you can even see it. That's the piece. See if I can get some light on there so you can actually see what I'm looking at here. That's the piece right there. And it didn't get glued in. I just missed it. So what I got to do now is fix this, because that pocket where it's supposed to be is just a mass of glue. And I've got my router, my Dremel router base again, all set up and ready to roll. And just close up, it's hard for you guys to see a lot of this stuff. And we are going to route this little spot out very carefully, and then we're going to glue that piece in and continue the process of leveling. So let me just do that real quick. I don't have a very good depth set on this. And the piece fits. No problem. Excellent. This is why, even if you have a CAM machine, it's a really good idea to have hand skills so you can do stuff just like I just did.